What's going on, everyone? Trev Wilson here. Welcome back to the Bourbon Ranch. Today we have another head-to-head battle. We've been doing a lot more reviews on the channel and I thought it was time to get back to the bloodshed. A few videos ago I did a video over the Kirkland bourbons. We covered all three of them in the video. Something that I noticed in the video and I pointed out that I liked was that they plaster right on the front that it's made by Bourbon 1792. They just throw it on there. Now, I was in the liquor store the other day and I noticed that the Kirkland bottles are right next to the 1792 bottles, okay? Obviously, they're made by Bourbon. They're both from the same people, but it got me thinking, I could potentially see someone going up there, seeing this Kirkland bottle say this is made by 1792 Bourbon, and then they look right next to it, and then they see the 1792 small batch, and it's double the price, and you get half the amount. For people who don't really know better, they might think, well, I'm just gonna go for this one because it essentially is the same stuff. It's small batch, it's made by the same people. So I figured what we would do is take all of the Kirkland bottles, pair them up with their 1792 counterpart, and see if there's any similarities, any differences, just a direct head-to-head comparison to help people understand a little bit better about what they're getting into. So obviously we're gonna start with the first one, the entry-level bottle, the small batch. Again, obviously coming from Bourbon. The Kirkland small batch will say 46%, and then the 1792 small batch is 93.7. So they are right in the same ballpark. This Kirkland bottle cost around $16 and you get a liter of it. So really good value right there, right out the gate. The 1792 small batch runs around $30 for me, around there. So let's just side by side them, compare them, see how they're similar, if they're similar, and how they're different. Which one I think is better. Let's get right into it. This is gonna be a direct side by side. This is not blind. I just wanna be able to point out directly the differences I'm getting on both. So this hand will be the Kirkland, this hand will be the Bourbon 1792. First thing we're gonna do is look at the color. I don't know if the camera's gonna be able to pick this up for you guys. They look pretty much identical on the screen. For me, I can tell that the 1792 is like one single shade darker. Very, very similar, but that one is a bit darker. All right, let's nose them. The Kirkland small batch. A little bit of corniness, like that grainy, youthful corniness. Not over the top, it's not overbearing, it's not off-putting by any means, but it is there. That corny note is kind of jumping out. There is good levels of sweetness though, like some caramels, your typical vanilla, your typical bourbon notes, okay? Little tinge of alcohol burn, little bit of that rough around the edges thing going on. And then let's just directly side by side it to the 1792. Okay, much sweeter, much more put together, I guess. It's pretty stark difference. The 1792 kind of seems cleaner. I was calling the Kirkland a little rough around the edges. This is pretty. It seems like it has had more time to kind of develop and mature. It's like an evolution of the Kirkland. It's like they let the Kirkland age a bit longer, do its thing, kind of be put together a little bit better, and then threw it in here. Okay, so when you side by side them, when you just go back and forth, you can really start telling the differences. This one's lighter, it's a bit more lacking, I guess is a word. It just doesn't seem as much going on. This one, the more I go back to it, especially right off the heels of the Kirkland, it's darker, the vanillas are much creamier smelling. I'm almost getting some more barrel notes on the nose, whereas the Kirkland, I wasn't getting any of that. It was kind of a lot of some sweet bourbon notes, but then youthful notes. All right, let's just get into the most important part of the test. How good do they taste? So, the Kirkland. Okay, a lot more corn forward. Some of those rough edges coming back through. If you've had other youthful bourbons, this is it. This is kind of in line with those. Kind of spiky, some of those grainy notes. You're getting a lot more corn. It's like you're tasting the corn. It didn't have time to kind of take on some of that barrel characteristics. Yes, the other bourbon notes are there. Your typical sweet vanillas, everything you love about bourbon, they are there. It's just, they're not intense. I just feel like they haven't had enough time to fully develop into what they want to be. And then let's go straight into the 1792 small batch. This is a bourbon that I typically wouldn't ever say was just, the mouthfeel was incredible. But when you directly side by side it with this one, it's a night and day difference. I just feel like this is much younger than the stuff they're putting in this. The flavors are there. I can definitely pick up in this 1792 the notes I was getting on the Kirkland. They're just way turned up. They're more amplified, they're denser, they're richer. Caramels, the sweet caramels and the sweet vanillas are just, not getting a whole lot of those youthful notes. Much more brown sugar on this one. Not a crazy good mouthfeel on either of them. Again, they're both kind of the standard entry products. I just think, I mean, it's clear as day that this is just a much more cohesive product. I mean, it should go without saying, you know, this is double the price, and you know, price doesn't necessarily always mean it's gonna be double as good, but there's a reason why this one's more expensive. It's gonna be older stuff in it. A little more time for the bourbon to get into that barrel and pull those notes out, and you can really tell, side by siding them, it's a stark difference. It's actually pretty cool to do this because in a sense you are seeing a very similar product, if not the same product, in different evolutions in its life. Let's go back for one last finishing taste on both of them and we'll wrap it up. The Kirkland, going back to it now, especially after having the 1792, the corn note is just even more amplified. It's definitely some youthful stuff. It's not bad by any means. I think this would probably still be a really good bottle just to have lying around. For beginners, if you're really trying to learn, you haven't even had this and you don't want to spend $30 first, yeah, go ahead and get this. It's similar notes for sure, but it's definitely a more youthful version of this. If you are new and you like the Kirkland small batch, definitely next step up, you gotta get the 1792 because it's gonna take everything you liked or loved about the Kirkland and just turn them up. And then the 1792, yeah, that's a pretty decent little sipping bourbon. I think people often overlook this one. They kind of go up for the full proof, the bottled and bond, which are some of my favorite bourbons ever. They're really good. But for a standard entry bottle, maybe especially for people getting into bourbon, you're new, you need to get your feet wet, perfect. It's gonna show you the world of bourbon. It's not too hot. So final thoughts on this. For $16, I don't think this is bad by any means. Give it a shot, try it. If you know, at the end of the day, you're losing $16 if you hate it. Who cares? But I will say, this is the superior product. Hands down, it's no contest. Is it worth twice the amount of money? Probably. I mean, if you side by side them, I think you would much rather have this one. Especially because they are so similar. I can tell they're from the same family. This one just does it better. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. Just a quick little head-to-head. The next thing we have on the list is to move on up to the Kirkland Bottled and Bond versus the 1792 Bottled and Bond. I think that's going to be even more of a Kirkland gets blown out of the water match. But time will tell. The video after that is going to be the Kirkland Single Barrel versus the 1792 Single Barrel. Stay tuned for that one because I don't think Kirkland's going down without a fight. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you think of both the Kirkland small batch and the 1792 small batch if you've had either of them. Leave a comment down below. Let's start a discussion. Hit the like button if you like the video. Check all the links in the description of the video. There are plenty of ways to support me more if you so choose to do so. And until next time, guys, I'm Trev Wilson. I will see you in the next video.